Jenna Ortega just did an interview with Harper's Bazaar in which she revealed doing Wednesday and having it become an overnight success made her a very unhappy person for several reasons. One of them was that she felt patronized by having to wear the costume, the schoolgirl uniform, as a grown woman. I think that just comes along with the territory of being an adult playing a child in a TV show, but I must be speaking out of turn. She has an insight into the pressures of fame that we don't have.
I wonder if like Robert Downey Jr. was like, I felt patronized having to put on the Iron Man suit.
Right? Like,
actually, that was probably all CGI anyways. But do you think Chris Hemsworth was like, I felt patronized having to put on the Thor costume?
So it seems like Jenna has gotten a little too big for her britches and needs to tone it down instead of toning it the F up. Regarding the instant success of Wednesday on Netflix, which, by the way, because it blew up in its first season, she also became an overnight success, and she became an executive producer for the second season and any seasons that it gets going forward. She said, "I was so stunned that I didn't really process it. I still haven't. It was so overwhelming. It felt like something was happening to someone else, and so unnatural that it was something human beings weren't designed to go through." She says, "We used to live in villages and meet maybe 300 people in our lifetimes, and now we can travel all over the world and meet way too many people, and way too many people can be familiar with you. I had a really hard time with social media. It was really turning me off." So she was saying after the success of season 1 of Wednesday, she was planning to book a getaway to a farm in Iceland where she could go fishing or something. I don't know.
What if she just like took a wrong turn and ended up on that ranch that Ezra Miller was on?
Ooh. You do not want to end up there in the trenches with Ezra Miller. So
I mean, she was an adult, so she should have been okay.
That plan to hide away from the cameras fell through because Tim Burton reached out to her for the Beetlejuice sequel, so she ended up filming that summer instead. But she also said that she resorted to buying a flip phone instead of her smartphone because the amount of feedback she was getting on social media was just so overwhelming.
Here's the thing, like, on its face, I agree with most of what she said. Most of that analysis of everything that you just said is pretty accurate. Mm-hmm. You didn't meet a whole lot of people in your life, and you don't even have to go that far back. If you go to just pre-smartphone era, it was a big deal if you moved out of your hometown and went off to college. Right? That's still so. We just had a discussion the other day about people talking about the back and forth between people who decided to stay in the small town that they live in, not even necessarily small town, sometimes it's just a suburb, and those who go out and decide to live in the city or something like that.
Right.
And that was its own thing, on top of the fact that now you're connecting yourself to 10,000 zillion million other people who, when you're as famous as she is, are all going to have an opinion about your life. She's not wrong. It's just that when it's phrased the way it is, and Variety doesn't help her at all here, the Harper's Bazaar interview is far more detailed, whereas the Variety was a bit of journalism where they just, it's cherry picked, but it doesn't make you look good, but there's no way around that. That's the way the media frames these things.
Yeah, it's not that I don't sympathize, because it must be really hard to be a working actor from the age of 9 years old. She was a child star. She was off the Disney conveyor belt and has been performing all her life. And that does mess people up. For all things considered, she's doing pretty well for herself as an adult. But I think that the level of fame Wednesday introduced into her life, that is kind of what made her reach this breaking point. After Wednesday blew up, a familiar narrative coalesced around Jenna Ortega. For young women who stick up for themselves and don't calibrate their words for public consumption.
Okay, I'm sorry, but it hasn't been a thing for women in Hollywood to calibrate their words for public consumption for like at least a decade.
They do like the opposite of
It's
that.
literally the opposite. It's I'm speaking out. I'm speaking truth to power and other such stupidity.
Yeah, like I'm speaking from my ivory tower. That's, for better or for worse, how people consume stories like this. Yeah, we can recognize that this star is a human being, and they have their own interior world just like everyone else, and they have their own problems, but ultimately we just don't want to hear it. We just don't we don't relate to it, certainly, and we really aren't that interested.
I mean, even on the smaller scale, like, imagine if me and you were like, oh my God, this job is so difficult. Like, nobody in the chat is going to have the slightest bit of sympathy when your job is to come on screen and talk about stuff every day. Right. So and part of your job is to understand how that makes you look to the world. But the thing is actors tend to be very self-indulgent, and they love getting the opportunity to kind of speak on themselves. And I feel for them, because it doesn't make anything that they're saying untrue, but it is absolutely true that who you're speaking to has to be taken into account when you give these. There's a reason why people seem to relish hearing Tom Cruise talk about his gratitude for his work, for his ability to entertain you. It's a privilege for him to do that. And that type of message goes far and wide with people, because people respect that approach to the world.
That's why people took so well to Jenna Ortega's dedication to the role and the story of her changing parts of the Wednesday script to fit the character more faithfully. And that it was an endearing story. That was a story that a lot of people really liked from Jenna Ortega, and it told us about her personality. This, not so much. They say she felt incredibly misunderstood. She gets that the internet rewards controversy, but she tries not to pay attention. I feel like being a bully is very popular right now. Having been on the wrong side of the rumor mill was incredibly eye-opening. She might be referring to the rumors of her dating Johnny Depp. It's easy to hide on social media, which makes it even easier to say hurtful things. We're incredibly desensitized and disconnected from real interaction. If you could speak to everybody like Wednesday, just say what you truly mean, it would be amazing.
I mean, that's what I want Meghan Markle to do.
Well, yeah, but that's like an overcorrection that's only necessary for her.
Yes.
You know? Because she's so fake. Jenna Ortega wasn't in a great place after the first season of Wednesday. Quote, to be quite frank, after the show and trying to figure everything out, I was an unhappy person. After the pressure, the attention, as somebody who's quite introverted, that was so intense and so scary. There are ways in which Wednesday has felt like a double-edged sword. I'm doing a show I'm going to be doing for years where I play a schoolgirl, but I'm also a young woman. And they bring up this comment from Natalie Portman, which I believe was from last year. Natalie Portman was a child star as well. Mm-hmm. And she says that in Hollywood, kid actors are basically treated like little adults. And there's no concept of how strange it is for a child to be in a workplace with a bunch of adults. And you're just kind of expected to roll with the punches and not act like a child when you are one. And those were a lot of cautions that Natalie Portman was issuing about putting kids in the entertainment industry in general. And that's, I think she said, her own kids she would discourage from doing the same.
I just saw something like Zach Galifianakis, which is a name I hadn't heard of in like 10 years.
Yeah, what's he doing?
He was in Lilo and Stitch. I think. And he's like, he keeps his family far away from Hollywood.
So Jenna Ortega reacted to what Natalie Portman said, saying, I relate to that so immensely. And it's always been really annoying because you just don't feel like you're being taken seriously. You know,
you're
it's
not,
like
you can't be. As a kid in Hollywood, you cannot be taken seriously.
Well, she thinks she's not taken seriously even now as an adult because of the character she plays.
That is cope.
She said, you know, how you're dressed in the schoolgirl costume, there's just something about it that's very patronizing. And when you're short, people are already physically looking down on you. So she has some kind of Napoleon complex about being like 5 feet tall.
You're a girl. Girls are shorter.
I've literally never felt in my life, like as an adult, that people were looking down on me because I'm 5'1". I never felt like people disrespected me because of my height.
That's one of those things where when I hear girls talk about the problems with being short, I'm like, I get it when guys complain about that because guys are generally considered, they're the taller gender. So when a guy is shorter, that's a problem. Like, I don't see maybe I just don't have any empathy for maybe that empathy's been removed, but it just doesn't seem like a problem for women.
The women over 6 feet tall are reading this.
See, no, that's what I'm saying. The women that are tall seem to be the ones who have the right to complain.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I would not want to be a woman over 6 feet tall.
Like, as a short dude, like I feel more for the tall women than the short women.
Then she said, boys get away with more, but girls, if they don't stay as this perfect image of how they were first introduced to you, then it's, oh, something's wrong. She's changed. She sold her soul. But you're watching these women at the most pivotal times in their lives. They're experimenting because that's what you do. I think what she's referring to here, without making it explicit, is her recent red carpet appearances where she looks drastically different from how people recognize her. She has bleached her eyebrows and grown out her bangs, and she's seems to have gotten work done, but that's not confirmed one way or the other. A lot of people were just saying, like, what happened to her? She looks terrible. She's going out of her way to look ugly. She sold her soul. That was one of the comments I saw, that she's sold her soul to the Hollywood machine. And people just kind of throw comments like that out there without really meaning it, that you signed your name on a dotted line to the devil. Yeah. But, you know, that's why she said that, clearly. Mm-hmm. Am I reading into it too much?
No, I
think she's referencing that recent red carpet appearance.
Those words that you're saying
CinemaCon and Met Gala.
The way that you phrased it, the way people are phrasing it, is just that exact type of, like, overly dramatic, overly literary version of how they're framing an article or how they're framing the change in her appearance.
And in terms of this conundrum she has about wearing a schoolgirl outfit, I don't know what to tell you. You were an adult that signed up to play a child in a TV show. It's not that complicated. She was 18 when she started production for Wednesday. And let me see how old she is now. Isn't she like 22 now?
I don't know why I thought she was older. Because they took a
long break between seasons.
Well, it was 20. They probably filmed it in 2021 if it came out in 2022.
She's 22 now.
Okay.
And
that's nothing in Hollywood. Like, Hollywood used to put 30-year-olds and have them play high schoolers.
Right.
Like, I wonder if like, all the actors who ever had to play like a jock in school felt patronized because they had to wear a Letterman jacket on set. Rather than, maybe they weren't an athlete in high school, and now they're like, I wasn't an athlete. Why do I have to wear this stupid Letterman jacket?
It's just all so formulaic in the media. Like, I feel like I see another long-form, self-indulgent interview in one of these magazines from a different actress every week, and she's doing an artsy editorial photo shoot with her eyebrows shaved off her face, wearing some bullshit costume that is equally patronizing. Like, you should feel patronized by the way that journalists talk to you, not the way that you play a character on TV.
There is a crisis party given to us by Francisco Sanchez Jr., who says, take my money and Mary, please dance to the party music. Thanks. Well, when it goes off.
I was already planning on it.
Look, I can't, this is purely running on vibes here, but when guys give interviews that are this self-indulgent, it's even more unbecoming. So I feel like they tend to avoid it more, as far as their introspection on themselves. And if you're a celebrity, especially if you're a guy, but it would benefit the women as well, focus on gratitude. Focus on what you've been given and afforded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am dancing.
She's dancing.
I don't know why you even needed to ask.
Yeah, she always dances.
I literally always dance to the party.
Every time.
That felt patronizing.
Like,
that felt patronizing. You asked me to dance? What am I, some kind of clown? Am I some kind of dancing monkey for you?
What was that song? Dance Monkey. That was like a song a couple years ago.
You actually did. You patronized the show.
JB Spooky Review says, is the Letterman jacket sexualized like the schoolgirl outfit, though?
the outfit she's wearing in Wednesday isn't sexualized.
I never saw it that way. Now you could make that comment about that kind of outfit in general. In fact, considering we mentioned Natalie Portman, the first thing I thought of was the schoolgirl outfit they put Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta with the priest.
I thought of Leon the Professional, where she is actually like 11 years old in that movie, right? And she's definitely sexualized in that movie. Yeah. If Natalie Portman did a little retrospective on that movie and said, that wasn't right, I would agree with her. But Jenna Ortega's costume in Wednesday isn't sexualizing. He's
saying just in general.
In general, yes, but
So what is the?
It's not like that.
There is. I don't think that there's necessarily a guy's version of this, but the corresponding reality is that women benefit from their sexuality more than men do. You could, at least on camera, and when it comes to getting roles, there is a net benefit to a woman's sexuality that doesn't benefit men in the same way. Now, you could say, does Chris Hemsworth feel patronized every time they make him take his shirt off in a Marvel movie? But they don't. The guys don't complain. They get in shape and they do the work.
I don't even know if she's saying it's because it's objectifying. She's just saying people view me as a kid because they watch me on TV as a kid.
Then don't take the role.
Should you feel patronized or objectified or put into a box when, if I understand correctly, Jenna Ortega played a porn star in the movie X? No, I haven't heard her complain about that at all.
I wonder
even though it did nothing for her career.
I wonder if Rachel Zegler was like, it was patronizing when people thought I was a millennial teenager in Y2K. My bell bottom, that wasn't a bell bottom. What did they call those cut jeans?
The boot cuts?
The boot cuts in the 2000s. My boot cut jeans were very patronizing.
Yeah, I mean, Jenna Ortega certainly hasn't soared to the levels of irritating that Rachel Zegler has, but maybe it's that flip phone helping her out. With each passing headline not getting better for her. And I think that this is just another sign of the passing celebrity culture. Everyone keeps saying this, and I'm worried that...
That is true. Andy Panda's right. Henry Cavill did just say, why do I have to keep taking my shirt off in The Witcher?
Well, his point wasn't that he felt any sort of way about being shirtless. He just felt like it was inappropriate for the role based on the source material. Yeah. He thought they were over-sexualizing his character. And it is true. He also mentioned Reacher. It is also true that in Reacher, they literally use any opportunity they can to have him take his shirt off because the actor is, very well known for his physical image. Yeah, but Alan Ritchson never said anything about feeling. I think he did. I think he might have mentioned it at some point. Andy's saying he did, and I vaguely remember reading something like that. But here's the thing. Nobody's going to care when the guys say it. It's just not going to matter. It's not going to matter because most of the time the guys are just going to do it anyways. And it's just not considered as lewd when guys do stuff like this, when they're shirtless constantly in shows and movies. No. And those are some rare examples when you're far more likely to see stuff for the female gaze on the men now than you are the male gaze with women. I mean, I would say a lot of the Reacher shirtless scenes are also for the male gaze. Well, that's my opinion. That's a whole nother discussion. Mm-hmm. But the point being, so yeah, I don't know. It's I think like I said earlier, we were interrupted by the super chat. Focus on gratitude. Focus on the opportunities that the industry has afforded you, and never seem to be complaining as much as I'm not and I know that sounds like you're kind of trying to limit them. I'm trying to give them business advice here. This works later in your career. If you want to write the tell-all book, I still think it ends up being kind of corny most of the time. Mm-hmm. But early on in your career, if you're looking to ingratiate yourselves to audience who you're basically looking to enter into a relationship with, I'm going to make this movie, I'm going to make this TV show, I'm asking you to part with your money to watch something that I've made. Ingratiate yourself in the best way you can, because most of the time you're asking people of lesser means than you to part with their money to enrich your life. And to do that, a certain amount of humility and gratitude has to come par for the course. That could be argued that it's a little bit different with women, because women like to commiserate more than men. True. But I don't know if her audience is necessarily more women than it is men. I can't tell. It's definitely a Zoomer audience. Yep. And put this into perspective. How does it come off when you're complaining that you weren't able to take a vacation sabbatical at 21 years old for the summer.
Yeah. It's just something most people will never understand the ability to do.
Hold up. What 21-year-old can afford to take a sabbatical over the summer
you hear
on
this
a
a lot.
farm in Iceland?
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.